Dear friends, I warmly welcome you to our interactive program for youth and adults, IPYA. The theme of our interaction today is parental consent in marriage. I'm in love with my friend and wish to marry him, but my parents do not approve of him. The question is parental consent compulsory? Our speaker today is Mrs. Nkoli Ogunobu Johnson, and the moderator for this program is Father Oscar John. Welcome, ma.
Okay, let us attempt to find some answers to this. I wish basically to base this discourse mainly on the teachings of the church. I would also consider to some extent aspects of civil law, some tradition and culture, and then we'll look into the relationship between parents and children. I think that I may have one or two things to share with you, if time permits, about my own personal experiences with my parents and my own children. So, what is God's plan for marriage exactly? What was his intention when he created us? From the beginning of the story, we see that the sacred scriptures begins with the creation of man and woman in the image and likeness of God, and concludes with a vision of the wedding feast of the Lamb. Scripture speaks throughout of marriage and its mystery, because marriage is mystery, its institution and the meaning God has given it, its origin and its end, its various realizations throughout the history of salvation. So in the scriptures we read, God said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helpmate." That is Genesis 2:18. And in Genesis 2:24 says that is why a man will leave his father and mother and is united established between themselves a partnership of the whole of life. It's by its nature ordered towards the good of the spouses and the procreation and education of offspring. This covenant between baptized persons has been raised by Christ the Lord to the dignity of a sacrament, quoting Catechism of the Catholic Church, number 1601. And then further, we look at Jesus in response to the question of divorce by the Pharisees. Stated, "In the beginning, the Creator made them male and female. For this reason, a man will leave his father and his mother and unite with his wife, and the two shall become one. No human being shall separate what God has joined together." Matthew 19:5-6. I also went ahead to look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Considering this, it says that marriage is a union representing a special kind of social and legal partnership between two people. So, having looked at all these definitions in the catechism, through the scriptures, the dictionary, we realize that marriage is a legal union between a man and a woman. It is a covenant. It is not a contract. It is between these two partners. the church raised it to sacrament. So marriage is one of the 7 sacraments of the church. This source is God's love for the spouses. That's one of the purposes. God's love for the spouses. It's a sacrament in which the spouses confer with one another through their vows and exchange of consent. You will hear the word consent over and over between the man and the woman. Hence, we want to look at the requirements of those people who can make this consent, who can become man and woman in marriage. So one of them is a matrimonial consent. The church gives absolute attention to this sacrament of the family as a privileged expression of the church's presence and mission in the world. Through marriage, the church is present, exercising its mission in the world. And it needs to be accompanied pastorally, that is supported by the priests and the church as a body. The church here now means all of us who make up the church, not just the church building. And to be supported in its problems and difficulties, which means that these 2 people with their consent, problems and difficulties are bound to arise. The Catechism of the Catholic Church also states that the matrimonial consent takes place when the parties to a marriage covenant are a baptized man and a baptized woman, free to contract marriage, who freely express their consent. This means that there may be other kinds of marriages, but it means that they have to be free. So what does it mean to be free in order to be able to contract marriage? It means not being under any constraint. Constraints such as being forced or any other thing that will impede the decision-making of the persons concerned. Not impeded by any natural or ecclesiastical law. I'm still quoting Catechism of the Catholic Church 1625. So constraints can also mean conditions by parents or others, although not including the withholding of parental consent. So further to the above, we must emphasize that the church holds the exchange of consent between the spouses to be the indispensable element in the marriage. If consent is lacking, there is no marriage. The man and the woman must give their consent freely. So the consent consists in a human act by which the partners mutually give themselves to each other. When the man says, I take you to be my wife, and I take you to be my husband, freely expressed. Thereafter, only 5 people, any other person outside these 5 is an extra witness. But only 5 people, the man, the woman, these are the actual celebrants. The priest who sanctifies the marriage, and the two witnesses. They are only people that are required to be physically present to contract a valid marriage. So that this exchange now becomes a sacrament and a legal union. It reminds me of wedding ceremonies generally. We find the church, well, have half empty, or maybe just a few people there, and then at the reception, this is overflowing. Let me just take this opportunity to say that if you are one of those that go to the party, reception, we call it, then you are not a true witness to the marriage. The marriage is undertaken and open in a church before 6 p.m. That makes it legal. So in all of the above, all of these things we have looked at the definition by the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the creation of the world, male and female, the different times that Jesus talked about marriage. There was no mention of requirement for parental consent. There was no place he said the man and the woman must get the consent of their parents or anybody before coming to marriage. Although in the canon law, parental consent is required, but only for minors, when minors attempt to undergo marriage. And according to the church, the age of the man is 16, and for the woman is 14. These are obviously underage, but they can get married only if their parents give their consent. We look at the civil law also, which accepts the consent of a man, a woman, and 2 witnesses presided by a minister. The civil law also makes an exception only in consideration for the Child Rights Acts. This is for those under 21 years of age. So the church considers 16 and 14, but the civil law considers 21 years. In some cases, it's 18 years. So we've considered the church, mentioned the civil law. Let us now look at the tradition and culture. Arranged marriages, where they still are typically marriages in most African countries. Some people are still arranging marriages. Marriage was also a tool at that time used to unite families, achieve better relationship between 2 families, and sometimes improve the economy. But in arranged marriage, one has no right whatsoever to neither give opinion nor disregard parental arrangements. If the parents say you are getting married to this person, then you're going to marry that person. So arranged marriage might mean abduction. That is, the woman is taken by force. Even if she's kicking her legs and throwing up and screaming the loudest, she's just bundled into the marriage because her parents have said so, therefore marriage must take place. But the church counts abduction as one of the 12 obstacles of marriage. Over time though, cultures and social norms have evolved to be more open and accepting than non-traditional methods concerning choices of relationships and marriage, because we are living, the world is living, so there's always evolution. Well, this might be attributed to the different ways that people meet potential partners, such as through education, through jobs, travels, social media, and other forms of human interactions, as against the limited interactions of people in the earlier years. Culture can dramatically impact a big difference in the way we view marriage, yes. But I want to ask, should the parents and other members of the family be the ones to make the choice of a life partner for their children? You want to do something, should somebody else be the one to decide for you where you are going to take responsibility? Where challenges occur in marriage, they always do, Will the parents be the ones to manage this? Will the parents also decide should any of the spouses wish to terminate the relationship? Which is what we see even with those who have sworn to the marriage that in the church, one of the swearing is, I take you for better, for worse, in sickness and death, till death do us part. That means once you take this vow, you are not going anywhere. But we know that separation, and I don't want to use the word divorce because the church does not allow that, but some people still wangle their ways. So will the parents also decide to terminate the relationship? Does parents arranging a relationship for their children guarantee the total fulfillment of the marital needs for them? If the parents are the ones that choose, should they now guarantee that everything will work out straight away, fine, happily ever after? So while we ponder on these questions and more, I'm sure you will have more, let us also consider parents and children relationship. I want to talk more on parents and children's relationship before the children become of age. You must have heard this saying, children learn what they live. That means what you witness becomes you. You begin to behave like what you witness. The home of the parents would naturally be the building, the training, and the formation ground where children will have developed their character. All these traits will lead them to choose their own life partners and make their own homes. The child's romantic relationships are influenced by the relationship with the parents, who are the first and most influential examples of how to interact and communicate in a romantic relationship and in other ways. In other words, you are watching your parents the way they make love to each other. I'm not talking about the consummation of marriage. I'm talking about relating. When I say make love, I'm talking about the relation, man-woman relation. The parents are the ones that show the example. And as you see that, how it rubs off on you. How love was expressed between one's parents and how love was expressed to the child is also very significant, because they are watching the parents express love between the two of them and to the child. This makes huge difference, huge influence on the child, especially most involuntarily. Most times when I teach marriage course, I ask, why do you want to get married? Just to buttress this point. I often hear, because my parents are married. And the parents didn't ask them to answer. They were just watching. And when they open their mouth, they are going to speak what they learned from their parents. That answer may not be completely correct, but that is what they have lived. But a child might express her emotions, his or her emotions, more openly or in a passive aggression, indicates her parents' communication skills with each other and with the child. Sometimes we find some children are very quiet or very loving, very aggressive. If you follow traces, you find out that they have beaten somebody, especially the parents or whoever the caregiver their life was. The child may imitate the behavior of the parents in all aspects, both consciously and unconsciously. Sometimes you do that. Sometimes I remember talking with a friend, and she was telling me that I have become my mother. Why did she say that? She was using the exact words her mother used, scolding her children. It just dawned on her that she was replicating what she learned from her mother, and she did that unconsciously, that she acted consciously. We can also ponder on the relationship between St. Joseph and Jesus. Why was Jesus referred to as the son of the carpenter? At some point, he was referred to as the son of the carpenter. And at later time, the carpenter. That means you're behaving like your father. That means you are now your father. You are the son of the carpenter. Now you are the carpenter yourself. I don't think St. Joseph had called Jesus to say, people are going to call you the carpenter because of what I'm teaching you. Maybe. But I know that St. Joseph's impressionable example during the growing up of Jesus was the result of this, definitely. This imitation of parents' example might also be reversed. A child who might deliberately or not seek out the opposite of a father. A father who was stoic, who was uninvolved, who worked excessively, who was unfaithful, who was slothful, abusive, or exhibited any other good and bad traits. The child just decides to reverse it. Some who are ahead and behave exactly like their father. Their father was beating their mother, they will beat their wives. Their father was beating their mother, they will decide not to beat their wives. So the child can decide to reverse what the child learned, but the child could be more influenced by even if when the child reverses or does exactly what the particular parent did, most times you will expect a boy to behave like the father or a girl to behave like the mother. But the child could be more influenced by a particular parent's behavior and mirror their relationship regardless of their own gender. This means that a female child may behave like her father instead of as normally would have been expected to behave like her mother, or a son might behave like his mother. So the child also has power to decide his or her character because of the relationship they had with their parents. Sometimes parents may feel at a loss. They may not understand the child, particularly if there's a particular way you would expect the child to behave and the child is now behaving the other way. They may feel at a loss. They may appreciate this child's behavior if the child has consciously patterned their behavior against parents' weaknesses. Maybe one parent is already conscious of the other person's, the partner's weakness, and the child now reverses it. One parent might appreciate the child. If the child improved in their own behavior through communication, through thoughts and feelings, the child would have done this consciously. Those patterns may play out in their romantic relationships as well. Their father was loving and caring. Your parents don't call you to say, look, this is how you must behave. There's none of us that the parents go, sit, you must behave this way. But the children, because they learn what they live, they are watching, and then when they start acting, they're going to act according to what they have observed, much more than what they heard, because you can talk like from today till tomorrow, and then when you act, that's the language the child understands. So the children who are able to become their own persons may end up at loggerheads with their parents when it comes to decision making, because they're already objecting to the negatives, the weaknesses of the parents. Then they change their ways, then fighting their parents because of this. We are talking about the relationship between children and parents in decision making. So if one feels forced into a relationship and marriage by controlling parents, controlling is also an attribute, a character trait of a person, then the negatives of such a pairing will appear sooner. If you force somebody, the person is going to react. So that parents deny to freely give their children blessings or choose a spouse. It might be a lack of confidence in their child's ability to make decisions. It might be parents projecting themselves to their own children. Sometimes some parents are not quite satisfied with their spouse. They wish they would have done better. So they now project themselves and try to impress a particular person for their child to choose as a spouse. It might be because of that controlling attributes of parents we talked about earlier. So it can surface anytime, including at the time of decision making of the child. Grown up now, they don't want to know because they have that controlling attributes that they have not controlled. It might be really because the parents have honest fears about the person their child is intending to marry, or that the parents are actually better character judge. Sometimes the child is love smitten and doesn't get to excuse me, listen to any other say I'm in love. That's one of the things they answer me. Why do you? Because I love him. Because I love her. Do you know the meaning of love? So when the test for love comes, do you understand? And when we say I love him, I love her, we are talking about carnality. It's not agape, filial love meshed together. So what about the place of God in the upbringing of children in the family? How did the parents relate with God? The children are watching. How did they teach the children? Because you can never overemphasize the deep relationship with God and presenting to Him the children always. Did the parents ask God often? Did they take time to pray and wait for His answer? Children, serving. Did the parents ever pray for vocations of their children? Did they realize that this is essential? There's one lady I met, and she was sitting with a pretty young lady. She told me that this is her daughter-in-law, and that she had been praying she started praying consciously when her son was 10 years old for his spouse. And then she met this lady, both of them became friends. Somehow her son met the same lady, later married her. I think it's because of that prayer she made. God led them all together. And then if you know this man, Noah, that is in Comedy Central, he said that when he was 10 years old, because his mother said they had very traumatic relationship. So the mother called him one day and said, when you get married, this is how you are going to treat your wife. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you must talk to her gently, you must behave very well to a lady. And then he said to himself, I'm 10 years old. Why is she talking to me about treating a woman? But he said that today, his mother's voice is ringing. Every time he opens his mouth to talk, he says what his mother taught him. And the people around him always vouch for this. So the mother started praying for his spouse long before he became of age. In the scripture, going back there, the parents also enjoin to bring up their children in the way of the Lord. Teach them to your children the way of the Lord. Talk about them when you are home, when you are away, when you are resting, when you are working. Write them the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. Then, promise that comes after that, you and your children will live a long life in the land that the Lord God promised you. Deuteronomy 11:19 to 21. In Proverbs 22:6 also says, teach your children how they should live, and they will remember it all their life. So all these and more would have been evident or not during the growing years of the child. How did the parents perform in their role as parents and nurturers of these children? When the child grows up and is ready to make serious decisions, what should the parents do? If the parents have performed their best, considering all we said and more, in bringing up their children, they must in total surrender continue to support their children within their capabilities. Therefore, unnecessary and painful conditions will not be placed when the child makes a decision. After all, if we are aware, children do not really belong to the parents. Parents are just only caretakers, caregivers, and they report to the owner of the children. However, the child, while making a serious marriage, also bear in mind that the family tie is the closest, the most tender and sacred of all any on earth, any relationship on earth. The family tie is the closest, is the most tender, is most sacred. It's one gift that is unsolicited that God gave us freely. So family was designed to be a blessing to mankind. Sometimes we turn it around and it becomes a squabble. It's a blessing whenever the marriage covenant is entered into intelligently, that is considering everything. Every home should be a place of love, a place where God abides, where his influence is felt on the hearts of parents and children. The church, the law, culture, tradition, parental influence, even the capabilities of the child. Now we now take a stand. What will our stand be? Although still saying that the consent binds the spices to each other, find its fulfillment in the two becoming one flesh. This consent being an act of will of each of the contracting parties, free of coercion or grave external fear. We've already established all this. But still to emphasize on it, it means that the absence of parental consent does not impede the sacrament of marriage. No human power can substitute for this consent. Hence, if this freedom is lacking, the marriage becomes invalid. Only the man and the woman can give their consent in marriage. Having said that, it is safe to say that parental consent, though not necessarily required in marriage, might be a blessing to the couple. We must bear in mind that human beings are social beings, therefore need whoever might enhance our well-being, especially those who are dear to us, like our parents, those who have known us, like our parents. This means that children might also consider that they may become parents themselves someday. Therefore, to be in the best relationship with their parents. Well, okay. I don't know for how long I've been talking, but I saw this quote by Bishop Fulton Sheen recently, was calling me that the relationship, this question, when I saw this quote. So I'm going to close with it. It takes three to make love. Remember how we talked about making love before, not having sex. It takes three to make love, not two, you, your spouse, and God. Without God, people only succeed in bringing out the worst in each other. Lovers who have nothing else to do but love each other soon find there is nothing else. Without central loyalty, life is unfinished. Like Bishop Fulton Sheen. And to put God in the middle of the man and the woman is to put everything that makes God happy. And what are those? Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you for the insightful presentation you have made this night. May God continue to bless you through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Thank you, Father.
All right, ma. I know we have questions and comments. I don't wish to start repeating what she said, so I'll just quickly go straight to the questions and answers. So please, if you have your question, you may just indicate so I can invite you to ask your question or comment. I can see some of our priests and reverend sisters here with us. Welcome, fathers. Welcome, dear sisters. And welcome to you all, dear participants. So please ask your question, please. Okay, Father Leonard.
I can't hear Father Leonard. I can't hear him.
Father, please speak out. Father, please. Go on, Father.
I can't hear really. I'm struggling to hear him.
Father, maybe you should go close to your phone or your laptop. I can hear you very well. Yes, it's better.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, mine is more like appreciation to our speaker for the depth of the reflection and for the different dimensions, different perspectives she touched upon while speaking. And just taking advantage of this opportunity to quickly just make my only contribution before exiting, because at 9 o'clock I will have another meeting which I'm hosting. Going forward, I believe, like when she concluded her discussion, that though consent is not required for marriage, but it's something that children have to get at all costs, given the fact that it's a blessing for them. No matter how solid a relationship is between two lovers, certainly no one prays for it, but it's the fact of life. At a time will come when they will have issues, they will have challenges. But if they don't have the blessing of parents or family members, at times like that, they become very vulnerable and they risk ending badly because they won't have a support system. In our struggles in life, relationship in the family with parents and siblings is always something needed by each and every one of us for us to be able to withstand the storms of life. So no matter what the situation may be, except maybe it's a family that have very serious issues, and because they have that issue, parents and children, they are not going on. If parents who really wish their children well are saying, no, this person you are proposing, I don't think is the best person for you, it will be important for the children to listen to their parents, to hear from them. Mama, Daddy, why are you saying no to this person? Concluding with the African saying that what a parent sees while sitting, the child may not see, even though he or she climbs to the top of the palm tree. Parents often, they have that capacity to see what children are not saying. That if their counsel it's listened to, such children will be saved from future problems that they may not be able to come out from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Leonard. Thank you for the contribution. For Lake, I know, please ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Madam, for that very insightful presentation. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard you say that a marriage contracted after 6 p.m. May not be valid, even though you have the witnesses and you have the consent. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, please.
Why is that so?
6 p.m.
Yes.
That is the teaching of the church. That marriage is constructed during the day in front of the congregation. There may be some exceptions, but that is the basic rule. Sometimes there may be reason why the priest takes a different stand, assuming the marriage takes place in the evening mass, which starts by 6:30. Okay? It's still considered during the day for that mass. The priest can decide that and take responsibility for it.
Okay, are we able to find out why there's a time limit? Because we need to be able to explain why 6 p.m., why not 7, why not 6? Do you understand? I think we may have to find out why.
I think, I'm not quite sure now, but I think that it's because, marriage and the law were one from beginning until it was separated. So the court does not hold after 6 p.m. I think that is basically the reason. I'm going to get back to that and send message to Father so that he can disseminate the particular reason. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. Read me. Please ask your question.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, thank you for the message. But I came a little bit late. I wasn't there when you talked about marriage and consent. But what I want to ask is when you talked about making quote of Kutushi. So my name is Walter. I just want to know, in situations, you said that marriage is love making is about 3 people, a man, a woman, and God. But there are situations whereby you are dating someone, you want to go into a relationship or get married to that person, and they are not as spiritually interested in the things of God like you are. It's difficult to pull someone to love God and to understand that God is the center of marriage, because when you don't put God in the middle of it, the devil comes into it and makes both of you enemies. I've seen this happen in the lives of my friends. I've seen their marriage broken because they don't center it on Christ. So when you are trying to draw this person and you want to have a relationship with, or you want to get married into, like, okay, let's do it in November, or let's fast for 10 days, or let's fast. They are not just interested. Is that a prerequisite for you to decide that let me call it up with this person, because when spirituality is not mutual, when passion for the things of God is not mutual, it's going to be difficult, because difficult is going to come through that person. There will be problems that will be coming in through that person. Because once you give the devil a hold, it takes over your mind, it takes over your life, it takes over your entire home. So I just want to ask, in situations whereby the person you are interested in is not as interested in the things of God, or you want to center your marriage in God, and they are not interested, you call it off, you break the relationship, what do you do? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. While you were speaking, you were speaking on the two sides. You already know that this person is not the same with you, and you are wondering what to do. One of the obstacles of marriage is disparity of religion. That means if the person is not in the same religion as you, the church is warning you that there is already problem there.
So in this case, we are both Catholics, but he doesn't have passion for God. Or let's say, let's do a novena and let's try and build it on God. They are not interested. So that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, you are a Catholic, the person is a Catholic.
Yes,
and you like doing novena, and the person does not like doing novena.
Yeah, they just feel you are too spiritual, kind of.
And you, what do you think?
I don't know, I just feel like I don't want to judge and say this person is not fitting. Well, I just want to have an expert opinion. Do you think it is right for you to take that as a decision, not to go forward with the relationship or marriage or whatever?
You know the Holy Spirit is alive and active all the time. The way you sound, you are already not sure what to do. You are already undecided. You already know that there's going to be a problem. You already know that. So, assuming you are going to Victoria Island from Surulere, for instance, and you are told that there's heavy traffic on Echo Bridge, but Third Mainland Bridge is free for you. Would you continue to go through Echo Bridge when you know that you can possibly go through Third Mainland Bridge?
No, I can't.
Before you marry, the two of you, before you go and say I do, you are not married yet. You can change your mind even before the mass starts. You can change your mind even when the priest asks you, have you come here out of your free will? You can say no, and you can stop it there if you are not sure. But once you get into it, what the church will keep telling you is, if you have not heard, come today, come tomorrow, the church will tell you, there's nothing we can do, you have to keep trying. Maybe you need to say the novena only by yourself. Maybe you need to be patient. Maybe you need to wait. What the church is trying to tell you is that you can't go back. So before you get into it at all, you will try to be maybe 70% correct, sure, because you can't really be. If two of you do not have the same values, to me, that is one way you can stop. You don't have the same values, even if both of you are Catholics. You don't have the same values, you can stop. But once you get in, then you are in. You are going to suffer for the rest of your life, and the person is not interested in saying the rosary or novena. Then you will learn how to say the rosary by yourself, or by God's grace, He may just help you to change this person to start saying novena with you. If that person doesn't change, you are already in it, you have to live by it. So you need to make that decision before you enter. That's just the point I'm trying to make. Once you make that decision, you become liable.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Okay, thank you, ma, for the response. Sister Juliet. Sister Juliet Eze.
Okay. Good evening, fathers. Thank you, ma. Thank you very much for the presentation. I listened to it, though I wasn't there to the concluding part of it. I was locked out. But when I came on, I heard Father Leona trying to explain the difficulty that might arise in the future if there was no parents' consent or relationship or friendliness in the relationship, in your marriage or something. Now, I want to ask a question. For instance, I am a guy and the only child of my parent. And now my parents want the best for me, probably a best wife, because I'm the only child, someone that will make them proud, someone that they will be proud of, something. And I fell into relationship with a girl who is short. Now, and I am a guy, a tall guy. I love this girl 80% or 85%. I love the girl because she understands me. She's like a friend, best friend to me. But the height of this girl is a problem to my parents. The girl is short and small stature. Now, bringing the girl to my parents as my proposed wife, and they are telling me, we can't take this girl. She's short. She's not presentable because the guy is actually huge. Is it enough reason for me to quit the relationship, or in this situation, how do parents' consent come in? Because they are not in support of me getting married to this girl, and I love the girl. So how do I solve this situation? Should I go ahead or dismiss her? That's my question. Thank you.
Sister Juliet. Now you've become a man, Sister Juliet. Thank you. Anyway, I'm just thinking, when you were speaking, you said the parents do not want, but I want. If you remember when we talked about the relationship between the parents and the children, we talked about controlling parents. We talked about parents who impose themselves. We talked about parents who do not allow their children to make decisions unless they are the ones that make it. Now, this man loves the woman, wants the woman 85%. He is the person that is going to live with her for the rest of his life. And the quarrel with the parents is the height of the woman. Height. That is the problem of the parents. It's not that she's not well behaved. It's not that she's not resourceful. It's not that she doesn't come from a good background. It's not even because of the religion. It's because of the height. For him, not for them. And then they insist that she should go and find a tall woman who will do what? So the person that takes this decision is the man. If he wants to live the love of his life and goes to marry the choice of the parents who is tall. By the way, let me use this opportunity to tell the story of a very good friend of mine. He's been married for 30 years now. And it's the opposite of what you said, because he wanted to marry a beautiful woman. He said that his choice is a beautiful woman. He doesn't care. The father called him and said, beautiful women have their wahala. You are going to have so many issues because she's beautiful. He said he didn't care, that all he wanted was a beautiful woman. And then before he got married, according to him, he was sleeping with a different woman every day of his life. Every day he had a different woman in his bed. But he said that as soon as he got married, he swore that he was not going to have anything to do with another woman. And so for 30 years, he has been very faithful to his wife. Guess what is happening? She's beautiful, and she's the one that he's crying over. You understand? His father warned him, he did not listen. Now, the parents are warning this person for something that is flimsy. Her height is nothing, and it's for their own sake. When the father of this man was warning him, it was for his sake. But this parent, this particular man you mentioned, the parents are warning him for their own selfish reasons, not for the man. Do you understand? So we are always going to make decisions, and any decision that we make, we are going to be responsible for it, whether it was our own idea initially or the idea of another person. Once you say yes to it, you become liable. This man who chose a beautiful woman is suffering it. That's his problem. Fortunately, his father is not even there anymore. Now, if this one that is going to like a short person and the parents refuse, if he marries a tall person and suits his parents and then he's miserable, who is going to suffer it? He will still be the one to suffer it. So we have to be able to take decisions and face whatever consequences that come. If the parents are giving him reasons that, let me use the word cogent really. Maybe she's from a wayward family. Maybe her family they die young. Maybe they are not. They don't have children in their family. Maybe they are lazy. Those are reasons the man may consider. But if it's her looks, I don't know what it has to do with the parents. And if this man agrees with the parents, I am going to question his own character, because this is what he wants. But because of looks, he decides to live the love of his life and obey the parents. I don't think so. Then on the other hand, I know another family who refused for their son to marry a non-Catholic. He insisted on marrying her. Today, she's one of the women in Catholic Church that you need to talk with her and you'll be satisfied. Her parents insisted that time that she wasn't happy. He insisted. But because he insisted, the parents relaxed. Say, okay, if that's what you want, we don't really, we are not going to say anything, but that's not what we want. But he insisted. So the person concerned must be able to also be prayerful, be able to be responsible, and be able to take decisions that whatever happens at the end, he or she will be responsible for it. You are okay with that?
Thank you, ma. Okay, Virginia, please ask your question.
Good evening, Father. Good evening, Reverend Sister. Good evening, our presenter. I think from other questions and answers given, I've been able to get my answer anyway, because that parent consent, from what explanations I've gotten, it is very, very important. Now, the parents, because you have explained the responsibilities of the parents during when they are bringing up their children, that relationship there, their guidance to their children, how important it is. And I think when they grow up with this, they still need their parents' guidance or consent in making decisions in choosing their spouses. And when sister asked of that short woman, that one is a very flimsy excuse for a parent to refuse that. But you have really mentioned that the parents, like in our own culture, if you want to marry, you go and ask questions to the parent, to the family of the concerned people. If their family is good, it means that people, the person in question will also be good. That's our own belief. And if parents said, yes, so this is a good family, then the child can go to marry the person. Or if parents says, no, they have bad character, as you have explained. They die young, they are wayward. Those ones are good reasons for somebody to say, no, I am not going to go ahead to take this woman or man as my spouse. So, from what you have said, I think really parents have say. They have to give their consent and blessing to their own children when they are going away in marriage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma. Okay, HTC, are you there? Please ask your question.
Well, can you hear me?
Please ask your question.
It was actually a question, but Ms. Curry has finished it, and I just wanted to make a contribution. But her response has cleared it. I don't believe the being short slim is not a condition for someone to leave his or her love. And anybody leaves his or her love because of that on that premise, I say it's seriously unserious. And that's what I have to say. But she has given a very, she has answered it. It's not a ground for somebody to leave his or her love. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Servio, please ask your question.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to get more clarification regarding what you explained. As our sister who was taking the mic, she said that parent consents are not, when we talk of marriage as a liberal, a free act. But she made mention of something that touched me a lot, because she provided an exception where she made reference to a minor. Now, my question comes from here. If we are talking of marriage as a free act, which must come from one who is capable to discern and decide, how then can we still make reference to minor whom we know at their level are not able to take this proper discernment, so to say, on their own, if not coming as an or from an influence from the other? So I want to really get a more clarified explanation regarding this. Thank you.
Father, are you there?
Yeah, I'm true. Did you get my question?
No, I was asking our father, did you hear the question? I just want to know that he's following.
Can you repeat your question, please?
My question is this. While she was explaining, she made mention of marriage as a free act, an action that must come from an individual personal discernment and decision. But the one that touches me is when she made reference to a minor, where she said the parent's consent is needed. Now, my question is, how can we speak of marriage as a free act, still making reference to a minor whom we know they are not capable on their capacity to discern and decide without the help of someone? How can we, in this way, speak of marriage as a free act?
Okay, Father, I understand what he is asking. When it concerns minors,
Minor, yeah.
when it concerns minors, you need the parental consent. So he's worried, why should minors even attempt to get married, right?
Yes, because marriage is, as you said, is a free act, and one descend on his own or her own to get married. And yeah.
But we are human beings.
Okay.
Even God at some points was worried that he made us. So human beings, you cannot begin to get details of what we can do and what we cannot do. There's provision by the church because they have seen this happen over and over. So if it happens, then provision is made, and the provision now comes with a condition. Sometimes these young people who are 14 and 16 may end up being married. It happens more in, let me call them, the civilized countries. I know some people who got married when they were at that age. I don't know if they got parental consent, but they've been married for 50 years now, and they are happy, both of them. So just in case something like that comes up, yes, we need somebody to vouch for them, and the parents who are vouching for them will not just vouch because they are called to vouch. They would have seen the traces in these children, in quotes, that there is something between them, and if they are encouraged and guided, they will be okay. That is why there's parental consent for minors. First, because it can happen. If it doesn't happen to you, it doesn't mean that it cannot happen. Because it can happen, one. Because it has happened, two, then conditions are placed, and then the parents. If the parents refuse to sign for them, the marriage will not take place. So the church is looking for somebody to assist. Now the parents, your children are this young, what do you think? They say, well, we can guide them, fine. Then they will be wedded.
Thank you, ma. That's okay. No, yeah, please ask your question.
By the way, somebody said in the chat about that timing, that is because the flags are dropped. That's what I was trying to say, that it has to do with the law. That is why we talked about 6 p.m. So when it is evening and it's night, there are certain things that are not allowed to happen. But like I said, the priest might take decision and be responsible for it.
And just to add to that, and just to add to that, what you mentioned has to do with civil marriage. You find that in the Marriage Act, section 18. So you are correct. But when it comes to sacramental marriage, it doesn't really apply. You can celebrate Mass beyond the 6 p.m. But when it has to do with civil marriage, of course, that has to do with court. So you have to work within that time. You find what you just mentioned in Marriage Act, section 18.
Thank you, Father.
Okay, Noye, ask your question, please.
Okay, good evening, Father, and good evening, our presenter, Treasure Polly. Now I'm directing this question to our presenter. Having explained from both parties, the parents' side and two individuals that come together to give their consent. Now, the big question is, supposing the parents have a reasonable reason they are giving to their children for not them to go ahead with their marriage, but they insisted, maybe the boy or the girl insisted, I must marry this person. And there is a very good reason on the side of the parents, on the two individuals not to get married, but because they say they love themselves and must marry this person no matter what. Now, how do you handle it, both on the parent side and the boy or the girl? Because we have seen where this thing is causing a lot of problem in the family, both families. And we know that there's this saying that the parents, when to the extent that the parents can pronounce a word, maybe a curse, if you do this, this will happen to you, you will never be happy. And sometimes we see it happening. And when it starts happening, the children, the both parties, both the man and the girl, they start fighting themselves, blaming you are the one that caused it, you brought this upon me and all that. Now, what advice are you giving to parents when you have tried to convince your child, don't do this, and they insisted that they are going to do it? How do you advise the parents not to pronounce a curse? Because you know that whatever a parent say, the parent, for a curse to stand, one of the people that have power of words are the parents. When they say it, it manifests, and the children suffers it. So now, how do you advise the parents that have this challenge? How do they go about it in order not to pronounce a curse? And how do you also advise the young people coming together? How can they listen to their parents so that there will be harmony and peace in the relationship? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nonya. I want to say here, if you remember the readings for today, the 3 readings have something to do with holiness. And for us to be holy, to be perfect as our Heavenly Father is perfect, it means that there are some things that we should not do, like curse your neighbor. It means that there are some things that we must accept, that there are challenges in life. It means that somebody is responsible and liable for their actions, and what happens to you affects me, one way or the other. Assuming the child refuses to listen to the parents. I also talked at some point about the relationship with God. One of the first advice I will give is to pray. That's one. The second one is try not to curse your child. We learned of the man recently. They called the man's name that lived in Festac. That time the Festac was a big place, bigger than Lekki and all Banana Island now. Festac was one place that if you live there, it means that you had arrived. This man was working in the bank and had really made it, so to say. I don't know what happened between him and his mother, and she removed her clothes. This is real life. Held her breasts and cursed the child. This child suckled my breast, so I cursed you. She cursed him, and the man became Jude. This woman is going about the mother of a cursed child. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So she curses her child out of anger, and she too also suffers it. So what should you do if your child refuses to listen to you? Like the one I told you about, the father who warned him about a beautiful woman. He left him alone, and he's the one suffering the pains of a beautiful woman today. What you can do is support your children in prayers and be there for them, even when they are in pain. If your child is in the hospital, needs injection, you know the injection is painful, you will hold your child down to be given that injection. So if your child refuses to listen to you, even if you have the best interests at heart, he refuses. You cannot curse him. You cannot curse her. Even for selfish reasons. You cannot do that. Because if you do that, it's going to affect you too. You may just put your knees on the ground like St. Monica, and your child will turn around. If you curse him, you are going to do more than curse to reverse the curse. You hold your breast and curse your child that you bore to be useless. Then you are a useless mother yourself. And you have a useless child, your own pain is even more. So the child that refuses to listen, when you have done everything that you can do, give it to God. And God will take control. I've made mention of St. Monica. I've made mention of the man that refused to listen to his father. Your wife is doing this. Sorry, he's beautiful now. I mean, look with a looking face. So the parents cannot, they must try to be holy as Heavenly Father is holy. They must try to be holy in their situations. And their holiness can now turn the child around. There's a priest that celebrated 25 years anniversary. He was a Muslim. When he turned to become Catholic, his parents abandoned him. They didn't want to have anything to do with him because of the religion, which is to them very strong. Maybe to us it might be strong if your child now decides to be Muslim. To me, it's going to really pain me. But they left him. He finished his seminary, became a priest, 10 years. It was on his 10th anniversary that the parents came back. He saw them from the altar and was crying. Parents were crying. So it took them 10 years to come back. If they had cursed him, for the rest of their life, the pain will remain. Maybe he won't even be a priest, and he won't be anything good to them. So can we bear pain patiently? It's not everything you want that will happen to you. Sometimes bad things also happen to good people. It's not by getting angry, two wrongs don't make a right, and you quickly open your mouth and curse because your child is disobedient. You are going to suffer the pains of disobedient child. Do not curse your child. Be patient, pray, even if he doesn't turn around. Be patient. That is holiness.
Okay, thank you, ma. And I want to add something to what you just said now. I want to repeat something. No parent has right to force anyone into a union or marriage. No parent has right to force any child into any marriage. Marriage is a lifelong decision, and those who are going into marriage have the final say, not the parents. You may not like the partners or the person your daughter or son is about to marry. You are free to express your opinion or your dislike for that person, but you don't have right to insist that that person or your child must never marry that person. So it's important we bear this in mind so that we don't play God. We don't play God as parents. You can advise them, suggest to them, but you don't have right to insist because you don't know tomorrow. You don't know what God wants to do with that union. Like she said, all you can do is to pray for your children that whatever decision they make at the end of the day may be to the glory of God and for their own good. But to insist or to curse them, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And if you want to marry a particular person and your parent is threatening you with a curse, don't be afraid. Your parent is not God. Don't be afraid. Ask God to remove whatever curse they have placed on you. And if they curse you out of their own selfish interest, that curse will not stand. Because it has no foundation. It has no divine foundation. So if a parent is just being selfish, and because you don't like a particular lady for some kind of funny reasons, and they want to place a curse on that child, that your curse will not work because it's being done out of wickedness and selfishness. So parents must never play God Only God knows the future. As a father, as a mother, you don't know the future. Only God knows. And so it's always good to submit everything to God and say, God, yes, I don't want this child in my family, but if my son or my daughter insists, let your will be done. George, please ask your question.
Father, please, before the next question, I just want to emphasize on this. If, when we talk about constraints, if a child, the parents refuse to disinherit him because he's going to get married to somebody they don't like, and they find somebody for him to marry, and he goes to marry that person, if he opens his mouth and says that he's marrying this person because the parents forced him, that marriage is invalid.
Of course, it's not valid.
That marriage becomes invalid.
It's not valid.
It's not free.
They
have constraint.
You are correct.
Now, if the parents say they will not bless the marriage, they won't give their consent, the church will wed that person. You understand the difference? The
Yes.
church, it's not because the parents refuse to bless you, the church will wed you. But if your parents refuse to grant you your rights as their child, and you go against them, the church will wed you. But if you listen to your parents because you want to get the material things or whatever else, and you say that the church, the marriage is invalid. Okay, let's get the next question.
George, Odi, please ask your question.
Good evening, Father. Good evening, sisters. And good evening, Mark. Thank you for this talk. My question is sort of in two parts. You would have probably seen the good marriages, the bad, the ugly, the worst, and probably the close to perfect. What are tenets that people should look for when looking for a spouse? And what are the traits that you have seen that have lasted? Then my second question is, when it comes to, well, I say tradition, like here in Nigeria, to be specific, there are certain, I don't think you can even wed somebody traditionally without the consent of certain parents when it comes to certain tribes. Then also, what about when the parents don't want the child to marry from a certain tribe or a certain part of the country? What then? Marriage is a problem.
The first part is qualities that you want to get from a spouse. I normally have young people come to me and say, Mommy, Auntie, whatever they call me, help me to find a good wife, a good husband. And then I ask them, are you a good person? What are the qualities that you have that somebody will look for? Because you are looking for qualities in another person. What do you have to offer? So you know what is good to find in somebody. You should be able to offer those qualities yourself. What do you like as a person? What do you, as an adult, you know good or bad? And somebody had asked, initially I said, before that happens, you would have known when you see something that you like, when you see something that is good, you will know. If you don't know, then you need to work on yourself first. So the first person that matters is you. When you know what is good, you will be able to shoo away what is not good. If you are offered a good job as against a bad one, you will know. If you see a responsible person, you will know. If you are irresponsible yourself, you will know. Because you will encounter people every day who will tell you that, who will remind you how bad you are or what you have done in the past that is good for them, you will know. So then on the other hand, when you go to mass, listen to the homily. The priest always talk. It's just that we don't listen. It's not talking that we are lacking. It's that we are not listening. If all your life you are 20 years old, 25 years old, by now you would have heard the qualities of marriage. Even if you don't go anywhere in the church, you would have heard it. But are you paying attention? Most times I also ask the people I meet on Sunday for marriage class, what was the reading for today? What did the priest say? The priest preached. What did he say? Not one word. Is to remember. So I'm telling you now, start now to pay attention. You will hear what is good. Start now to look at yourself. If I ask you, I didn't get your name. If I ask you now to tell me about your best friend, you'll be able to give me all the qualities of this your best friend. When I ask you to reel out the qualities about yourself, you will start stuttering because you have not studied yourself. So you have to have in order to give. And when you have, the good things will come back to you. Even if bad things come to you, you'll be able to manage them. That's just life. Let's just, by the way, forget about God for now. We're not talking about God. But if you do good, good comes back to you. If bad comes back to you, you will know how to manage it. Now, if you now put God at the center, it becomes easier for you to manage good or bad that comes to you. Sometimes some good wife comes to you and it becomes a problem. Sometimes it's money, plenty money that everybody is looking for. That is the cause of divorce. Sometimes it is the goodness. Some woman has divorced her husband because he was too nice. He was just too nice and she couldn't handle it. So what do you want? I ask you again. I'm trying to remember the second question that you asked.
Okay, the second question is about what if the parent refuses because of where the person comes from?
Okay, I want to say to that you still don't know what you want. Part of what the parents decide, we have just established that first of all, your parents do not have to give you their blessing. So if it's because of where the person comes from, time has changed. I'm from Anambra State. My husband is from Edo State. Till now, I'm still going through the suffering of we are Igbo and sold out. I met one woman who, when she saw me, we were my husband is an engineer. We had gone to the Nigerian Society of Engineers program. She was the president's wife then. When she saw me, she said, come, my dear, come and sit by my side. A much older woman. I was much younger then. She wants me to be in her entourage. Fine. What's your name, Colin? Who's your husband? I said, Dr. Tunde Ogunbi Johnson. She said, no! Why? Then she burst into tears. She was crying, tears. Why did you marry a Yoruba man? I said, my husband is not Yoruba. He's from Edo State. She said, no, you can't do that. Then I already had 2 children. I chose my husband. Even another side of it, my parents did not agree. I married him. Later they turned around to say he's the best in-law they have. Thank God for that. Because I stood my ground and they followed me. Now, this woman who doesn't even know my parents or me was crying because of pride. She was crying tears. It took another 10 years when she saw me to apologize for those tears that she shed that day. She was sorry because her younger sister, who was my age, was not married till then. And she was begging for a Chinese man to marry her wherever, come and take her. So if that's what you truly want, you have put it in prayers, and your husband, your parents say no, you are the one to decide. Right now it's even easier. We have a lot of Ngozi, Adewale and so on. Now, when I got married, it wasn't common. But now it's very common. So it's not a problem now. That's what I see. You can marry. When my son was going to the US, he whispered to me, I'm going to marry a white woman. So I would have asked him not to go to the US or not to marry a white woman. If that's what you want, your parents will stand by you. They know you already that that's who you are. They are not going to stop you. But if you are the one that you are dancing about, your parents say this, then maybe they will now decide, don't marry from Anambra State, go and marry from Imo State. And then the people that I know that married from my same village in Anambra State, they have separated in their marriages. So what do? You are the one to decide. And whatever happens, you will be liable. I said that before, I'm saying it again. Your parents cannot decide this. You are the one to decide. Whatever happens, you pay. But another sister has spoken here. Try to cooperate with your parents and convince them. If they don't agree and you decide, they can wait for 10 years or 20 years and they will come back. So I've answered your question. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, ma. I totally agree with you. You have done very well with this response. I agree with you. The final yes comes from those getting married, not the parents. Victoria, please ask your question. We'll soon go. Victoria, are you there?
Yes, okay.
Please ask your question.
Good evening, Father. Good evening, Mommy, our presenter. Okay, I have some few things to say. Number one is there something the church is doing concerning intending couples who are being hit, either from the lady's side or from the man's side, but with news of, this prophet said this, or this person has said that you are not compatible, even when you know in your heart, spiritually, physically, socially, that both of you are compatible. Is there something the church is doing to remedy situations like this? Like some teachings? Because so many people are sinking in those fallacies, and I don't know how to. Some people don't know how to get about it. I have someone now who is going through that. In fact, I have to speak to the person to go and meet the parish priest or the priest, whosoever trusts in the Catholic Church, to go and talk to the person concerning the situation she's in.
Okay.
And then another thing I want to say again is we usually have marriage courses prior to wedding. And then is there a plan to bring together our parents to talk to them concerning the marital life of their children? Like situations like this now, where a parent will decide not to agree to their child getting married to their spouse or their partner because of one reason or the other. Are there things that are being done, like to talk to our parents, to tell them or teach them to know how to guide their kids or their children concerning marriage? Because it's causing a whole lot of problems. For example, if my mom or my dad says to me, I don't want you to go ahead with this marriage, he or she has already imposed fear. I will start thinking of a whole lot of things concerning the situation. I might end up not getting married, not necessarily because I don't know what I want, because my parents and the way I'm being brought up, they have spoken.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
Father, I want to say here that many times you'll be saying, what is the church doing? What is the church doing? We are the church. The priests are doing enough. The priests are doing what they are supposed to do. The rest of the work is left for the laity.
Okay.
The priests, they are just 1%. The laity are 99%. Okay, 95%. So this thing that is eating you, you can start it. I'm consecrated to St. Joseph. 4 people, 5 people got together to start the consecration. Now, we have over 500 people have been consecrated. You can start from your little corner to gather this, invite people. Look at how Father started this program. How many years now? It's going. The social media can help us. You can start from your little corner and then get a priest to become the spiritual director. Yes. So that's said.
Okay.
The other one is Father has also said that the parents' course has no hold on you. The parents have no right to curse you. So if you are afraid of what your parents will say, you are not sure of yourself. You have to be certain. Before my daughter got married, because I said I will share I've shared a few things about myself. before my daughter got married. When she was in Unilag, she met somebody in year 2, although if she was invited to any birthday party or anything, she will write me. Then there was no cell phone. She will send message to tell me that she's invited to party. Should she go? If I allow her, she will go. And most times I will say no. Then she now wrote another letter that both of us treasure today. Mommy, I love you and all that. You know, all that time, each time I ask you to permit me to go to a party, you always say no. Do you think that if I go, you will know? I'm only asking you out of respect. And you keep saying no. How will I know and get to learn what is happening around me? After that, I had to call her. We cried together, prayed together, and started crying. Now, when this person that she met, I didn't even know that they were friends. 2 of them are the same age. And then they were growing together. I was projecting myself to, I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. Somebody else who happens not to be a graduate, but who is very versatile, lives in China, and if you discuss medicine, you will think he's a medical doctor. You discuss law, you will think he's a lawyer. He's good in everything. Business, he's good. I now introduced my daughter. Can you talk to this person? After talking with him, she called me, Mommy, I only talk to this person out of respect for you. Please do not try to introduce anybody to me. I will find the person that I've married. And then she sent her brothers. I have 3 children. It wasn't long. Her brother called me and said, Mommy, I heard that you were trying to matchmake for. Please don't do that. The younger one called me, Mommy, don't do that. I said, okay. So she continued to date this young man, and one day he came to the house, stayed from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. He was there all day. I was fuming. I was so angry because my anger was that, first, I was being tribalistic. Second, he was young. So I didn't approve at all. When he left, I called my daughter. Didn't I warn you? I said I went down and called. You know what she did? She burst into tears and was wailing. You know, not crying. She was wailing with her hands on her head. So when she started wailing like that, my husband rushed out. What is the matter? What is it? She said, go and ask Mommy. Ask Mommy, oh, Mommy doesn't want me to be happy. Mommy wants me to give. Mommy wants to give me. Mommy wants to take over my life. She was just wailing and wailing and wailing. Okay? What did I do to this girl? So what did you tell her? I don't even know what I told her. What did I tell her? I couldn't remember what I said. But she was wailing like somebody you use knife to cut. After that, I had to start looking for somebody else to help me cancel. Since that's what she wanted, I had to calm down. I had to ask, go to this priest. Any priest I call, she said, Mommy, you know that priest. Anyone I call, she said, you know all the priests in Nigeria. Okay, just go to any parish by yourself. Don't even go near where we live or where you know that I'll be around. Fortunately for me, she still went to the priest that I know. And the priest canceled the 2 of them, and then called me and said, relax. Your daughter has found a husband. Relax. Relax. He's a good person. Don't worry yourself. Later, like 3 years after their marriage, during their wedding, for instance, all my friends that came around, they said, that's your daughter and her husband, they are friends. They are not just husband and wife, they are friends. There's something about them that you can see that they are friends. That's the person I was trying to remove from my daughter's life because I was being petty. Okay, so parents should also look at themselves and say, where am I going wrong? Maybe I'm the one that is wrong, really. And then leave their children to live their lives. So my own, and then on their wedding, his uncle called me and said, because I was still crying, he called me and said, you are not losing a daughter, you are gaining a son. Indeed, I have gained a son. My son-in-law is my son. That's how I introduce him. I don't introduce him as my son-in-law. I introduce him as my son. So mothers, parents can also pipe down a bit and put some things in prayers and listen to their children. But most importantly, like my daughter was waiting because she knows what she wanted. I'm using that to talk to you now. You know what you want. Bring your parents to join you to what you want. This is my life story. Your parents will also be able to tell the story. But if you continue to dance to their whims and caprices, you may end up, I don't know what it should be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Last question before we go. Last question. Blessing, ask your last question, please. Blessing, Jane, please ask your question so we can go.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Father. Thank you, everyone. I don't want to ask the question. I just wanted to express myself. So once in a while, I join this platform. I listen to the beautiful topics real life topics that affect young people especially. And this is the first time I am talking. And the reason is because I'm touched by the speaker for the first time on this platform. I'm touched by the speaker. You are an amazing personality, ma'am. And the very impressive things for me that has affected me today are conversations on self-awareness, the independence of an adult's marital choice, the content on parental threats and curses, and the fact that the choice on marriage bordering on reasons on tribal, height, and less substantial attributes are not so important. These are the things these are my highlights for today. Listening to you, listening to your presentation, and listening to your story. I'm so touched. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful, to be here and to listen to you. Well done, ma'am. You're doing very well. God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you, Blessing, for the comments.